Greetings. This is Essay 4 Structure Overview. We've probably talked about this a little bit in class, but I wanted to give you a little bit more of a detailed breakdown and a PowerPoint so that when you're working on your own elsewhere, outside of my immediate vicinity, so you can't ask me directions, questions directly, I can give you some guidance. Okay, so I'm going to share screen and we're going to dig into this fairly quick PowerPoint that I think should prove helpful. Okay, so SA4 structure, a breakdown. So what are we looking at? Well, as a reminder, SA4 is SA3 plus, right? So we're taking SA3, we're going to make some improvements and modifications, and then we are going to be adding additional paragraphs, the transition paragraph, rejected solution or solutions, and proposed solutions, multiple, okay? So the transition paragraph, again, we've covered this in class, but if you weren't there or your notes weren't quite as good as you wanted to have them be now, hopefully this is of value. So I'll read through the bulk of this and elaborate a bit. So transition paragraph, it connects SA3 to SA4, just like everything, transitions work off an A to B model. We're moving from this thing to that thing. And we need to sort of draw that relationship clear. And so one of the ways that we're going to do it is in this short transition paragraph, 8 lines or so. And the way to think of those 8 lines is 3, 4, 5 plus 3, 4, 5, like 2 halves of this paragraph. And the first half is sort of wrapping up the problem section. The second half, so kind of like a mini conclusion, but in that same paragraph is an additional introduction to the solution section, the new paragraphs for essay 4. It should end with your thesis statement. There's a bug flying around in here, and I'm going to, got him, winner. Okay, so your solution thesis goes at the end of the transition paragraph, right? So the way to think of it is the first half of the transition paragraph, concluding essay 3, second half of the transition paragraph in the same small paragraph is an introduction to essay 4. And what do introductions typically end with? A thesis statement. So there's going to be a solution thesis there. The solution thesis, here's the quick snippet of it. It's going to be telling me who should be doing what that you're recommending, right? So which 2 or 3 ideas are you proposing and who are the responsible actors, legislators, consumers, companies, fans, if it's something related to sports or video games or whatever, okay? And you're not going to get into much detail about the problem. So if you remember, the problem thesis was heavy on the problem. And now when we move it into this new essay, we're adding a teeny bit, which is an indication that something should be done, right? So it's largely about the problem and it hints briefly at a solution needed. The solution thesis discusses the problem in extremely brief detail. Like it might just simply say, to solve this issue, and that's it. Or to fix this problem, and that's it. And then we get your proposed solutions. Who should be doing what? Okay. The example here, this situation can be avoided if, right? And now it's we do this and we do that. Okay. Again, look at the PowerPoint on that. Next is the counter arguments for the solution section. Now, counter arguments here, what we're thinking of this as primarily is rejected solutions, right? Your readers might be thinking of some other solutions and you're basically saying, we're getting these out of here. They're not going to work. And you're going to give me at least 1, but ideally 2 solutions that you are rejecting, where you simply say they don't work. And we'll go into a little bit of detail on this in the class next week. But the essence of it is it doesn't do enough. It's too expensive. It's not practical. People won't like it, whatever. There's lots of different ways to reject it. For all of these, you need to have a clear indicator of who is suggesting we do this, what organization or individual has proposed it. So it can't just be something you're pulling out of your butt, okay? You got to have specificity in terms of who is making this recommendation. And you have to have solutions, or not solutions, sources that will indicate why this solution isn't very good. So you can have an expert saying, nah, no good, no bueno. You can have stats that show it's just not going to make much of a dent, whatever, but we're going to need to spend some time there. These are going to be meaty paragraphs, a good half to two-thirds of a page, because you have to spend time with a source explaining what the solution is, and then the second half of that paragraph is a rejection. This is sort of a callback to SA2, where we had to explain an idea about, immigration or AI and then reject it. Okay. Then you go into your solutions, and you're going to have at least two, but most students end up with three. And these are going to be distinct solutions. It shouldn't be one solution said in three different ways. It should be, we need to do this over here, we need to do this over here, and we need to do maybe this third one over here, because these three efforts combined will solve the problem. Okay. And so each paragraph has a clear, strong topic sentence that starts off the paragraph saying, in order to address this issue, we should, right? And then you go into some detail. They, of course, are going to have sources. You should find good quality sources that can advocate and back you up. You do not have to create your own, but that is the key. Okay. And then you have the conclusion paragraph. So for the conclusion paragraph, the way I want you to think of this is, if you remember, the prediction paragraph for SA3, the future prediction, basically said, if we don't do anything, it's all doom and gloom. Well, this one is the opposite of that. Okay. And what do I mean by that? What I'm saying is, now we're in hopeful territory, right? The solutions are here. We can do something. It's not too late. And so your conclusion paragraph for the entirety of the SA4-3-4 combo is saying, hey, we're in this negative place, but if we do these things, we can end in a really positive place. And so you have a hopeful future prediction conclusion paragraph, not the negative doom and gloom one. That one stays, but it's now about halfway through the essay. We pivot at the transition paragraph, and now we go through your recommended solutions. We end with this positive conclusion prediction that says, hey, we've got a good future here if we do these things. Okay. And that is the key. If you do those steps, if you follow that structure, it's very logical. Reject a solution or two, propose two or three solutions, end with that positive, hopeful conclusion. Everything kind of lines up nicely. Boom, you're done. All right. That's it for now. If you have any questions at all, please ask. In case you're wondering, this is a weird shirt. It's a zombie on a bicycle. A student gave it to me. I like it. It's weird.